Okay, and we're live. This is Matthew speaking. We're back with another Scent Spotlight, with a podcast where we're highlighting all the creators doing fantastic things on the Scent platform. Today, I'm really excited to be speaking with a terrific crypto artist and creator whom I have collected. And let's just get right into this. I'm super happy to be speaking with Jaleel Dowdy, aka Dowdy on Scent. What's going on, Dowdy?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So to get started, I'll ask you the question that I ask everyone, but could you introduce yourself to the Scent community?
Sure thing. My name is Jaleel Dowdy. I am originally from Bronx, New York, and I've been living here for the past 23 years now. I came into art at a very young age, but I always got discouraged because I was never able to successfully store my art somewhere where I could always look back at it. So when I came into blockchain, I fell in love. I didn't know about crypto art at first. I actually bumped across one of Connie's posts, which huge shout out to Connie because he's the inspiration behind me actually continuing to do crypto art. I bumped into one of his posts, and ever since then I've been very persistent with it. I haven't really given up. I've been receiving a lot of positive feedback, especially from the Scent community. They're very the engagement level on Scent compared to Twitter, Instagram, or any other social media is beyond anything I've ever seen, honestly.
That's awesome to hear. And I think Connie is responsible for 99% of the folks in this space. Either starting crypto art, finding out about cool projects like crypto voxels or anything like that. Connie is a force, an absolute force.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Yeah. And you caught my eye as soon as you popped onto the platform. I think your first post was titled Imperfection.
Yeah.
And it was the piece, all white, retro 70s, silhouette with blank scrolled across the face and a gold earring.
Yeah.
That also happens to be the first piece that I scooped, of yours over on Super Rare. So it was awesome. It was probably the best entrance I've seen, immediate purchase of the crypto art, immediate follow on Scent. But let's dive a little bit into your creative background. So your style is really, really interesting. It's this combination of retro, funk, and I don't know if this is right to say, but it feels cinematic to me. There's cinematic scapes and I love it. It's really, really cool. But
thank you.
I'm just wondering if you could walk me through in a little bit more detail your creative journey up until this point. When did you get interested in digital art? Just walk me through everything.
I got you. So I started out, I would say maybe in middle school, really drawing because my dad was the one who actually introduced me. First, I would start by tracing, but then I would always look at the computer screen instead of tracing because I didn't feel like it was as accurate as tracing. I would have little competitions with my cousin, and I realized how bad my cousin drew. So it always made me feel okay, I might have something here, but it always discouraged me because years later, I would draw one or two pieces per year, and then I would get discouraged after a while. I'm this is not taking me anywhere. It just looks like everyone else's art, and I would look at everyone else's art, and then I would feel bad. So leading up until maybe high school, where we would always have class projects, and I always realized wow. After I look at my work, I second guess myself, or I think twice, did I really do this? I'm really creative, maybe not super creative in a way. I want to say just aesthetically, I like to bring out colors in my art, or I like to bring out patterns or shapes in my art. So in class, I would usually, as far as creativity, I would be awarded for having the best creative thought process or however. And then coming into, I believe I saw crypto art on Twitter before anything else. That was before, during the bear market when I had nothing else to do while prices were all going down. So I just started doing some research and wanted to see what was going on with everything. And I think I came across either Makerspace, and I saw some people talking about Scent, but I didn't know what Scent was. So I signed up early, but I never posted anything until I started researching like around December 2018 or December 2019. I'm not too sure. And I started looking up and I see people posting. I'm like, wow, these guys are like really good. And then, like I said earlier, I came across Connie's work, and ever since then, then I saw like Hackatiles, and I saw Miss Out, then I saw X Copy. Like they're like the main reason why I just continue, because I don't want to see it as competition because everyone has their own unique style, but I just get inspired by seeing their styles because it makes me want to push myself a little further. I don't want to go on a rant.
No, I dig that. I mean, I've commented on that. Again, it's saying it's a competition somehow doesn't feel like it accurately describes it, but there's something about, I mean, even for me, when I go to check out like the market feed and like Super Rare, and you see the new work that the new artists are pumping out, and I'm like, damn, they just stepped their game up. They leveled up. Like I can only imagine what it feels like from the perspective of an actual creator. But I feel like that is such a positive reinforcing function. It doesn't have, like, if we do like settle on the term competition to describe what's going on, it doesn't have any of its negative connotations. I totally feel that though. And it's cool that from when you were younger, you always had this kind of, I guess you tended towards using really, really vivid, bold colors and contrast. And it's cool that it's still apparent in your work. Your use of colors it's immediately eye catching. It arrests the viewer. And well, I gotta ask you, because I feel like, especially with visual arts, an interesting thing that I've come across with a bunch of creators is that if you look at the work, there's parts of either their personality, their interests, or just something about them that is included within the works of art that they create. And in your case, I'm just wondering if you had to look back through the work that you've created and shared so far, what parts of yourself do you think are contained in the works that you've been putting out? Okay.
Well, for that, I started out with like silhouettes because I always felt like it speaks, it shows a bigger picture than what it actually is. Like there's a story behind each art piece. So I feel like a silhouette was like a great place to start because I honestly didn't know what my style was. I couldn't define it myself. So I had to, along the way, like through experimentation, I found like, okay, silhouettes work perfectly great with like what I do. Then it transitioned into like POC, like people of color or person of color, which I feel like we are unfairly, we aren't really in the crypto's art scene, especially being like African American. I feel like we're fairly represented in it. So I felt like, at least in all my pieces, I have to include someone of person of color. So besides me feeling like we're unfairly represented, especially in something as new as crypto, I want to be like a staple, maybe not a staple. I just want to be someone who represents, like, because I got a message from someone a while back while I started crypto Twitter. And I mean, like, not crypto Twitter, crypto art. And they asked me, like, are you a person of color? And I didn't know what that meant because they said POC. So I'm like, I have no idea what that means. Please forgive me. And then they explained what it was. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm African American. And it was like, well, I appreciate your artwork because it really speaks like numbers, or it speaks louder than what it actually shows. So I'm like, I really appreciate that.
That's really, really interesting. That had you been trying to add that aspect to your work, or is it from that conversation that you became more conscious of that part of your work and kind of started to double down on that point?
I've been trying to slowly transition into it. That's why I started out with silhouettes. And then ever since that conversation, it made me it's like a reinforcement, or not reinforcement. It's like reassurance that, okay, what I'm doing actually is appealing to people of my color, or anyone in general who likes, I don't know, just art in general.
Mm-hmm. That's very cool. And well, now that we're talking about the art, I know that there's a conversation that you wanted to have, centering around quality in art. And well, feel free to take that conversation away and let us know your thoughts on that area. I'm interested to hear them personally.
I was just curious because at first when I started, I obviously did a lot of research. I did my due diligence, especially like with artists and stuff. So I would see like many pieces. I don't want to call anyone out because that's not something I actually like doing. But there was like this specific artist, and I've never really like their style was unique, but I wondered like what exactly gave just artwork in general, especially it being like NFTs, what gave them that value? Like what exactly was it? Was it their track record? Why was it priced so high? Like I didn't really understand that. Like then I started doing more research and I see, okay, the process it took them to get there to that. So then it made me want to do more research to be able to enhance my skills or learn more.
So after you did that, DD, and you kind of understood the process that went into it, like, I mean, did that explain totally the prices that they were fetching? And also, like, without revealing them, like, are they continuing to fetch like high value for their pieces?
It made it clear why, because like I said, I had to do my I didn't do my research before casting or passing judgment, but after I did my research, then I respected it. You know, I understood why they got that type of notoriety from that. But then I see other artworks, like people who are fairly new, who are like, why do they price their work so high? Is it because is it actually worth it? Like what makes it worth it that high? Because I always try to keep my price ranges relatively low, but I don't want that to determine what my value as an artist is. I just try to make it relatively low for like people to get my artwork in the hands of people in general. Like I don't want to like steer people away by having such a high price.
Mm-hmm. This is really interesting. I mean, as a collector, I've thought about this a lot. Sometimes there are newer artists that come on, or even if they're like established artists and they come into crypto art and they have, they're just super high expectations to begin with. I can appreciate that. I can totally appreciate it. But sometimes it's an interesting thing because valuation often is just so subjective, and in a space where quite honestly, like there's not a lot of buyers, right? There may be like overall between all the platforms, like a couple hundred of us. And out of that couple hundred, there really are just like a handful of like mega whales who are helping to like establish the prices for not just a small, but like a huge number of artists, which is fantastic. That's awesome to see. I mean, like the numbers are starting to creep up, but they're not incredibly huge. But like if you're on the ground floor and you're looking at your neighbors and you're seeing some of these pieces fetch like thousands of dollars, it's like, wow, that's interesting. How does that work? And then they're like, oh, maybe I need to charge like 5 ETH for my work. I feel like a bit of that is going on. But then at the same time, and I've spoken with other creators about this, is you want your art in like as many hands as possible, or you want to have like a nice collector base that really digs what you're doing and will be there for you in the long run to continue supporting you. So there's all these like competing forces that I think go into factoring the art from the creator side. And then from the buyer side, it's just like, there's not a lot of us. There's a couple whales that are really like setting the floor and constantly raising it. But at the end of the day, the work needs to be authentic and it needs to speak to the individual buyers, for them to really open up their pocketbook and make that purchase. So I feel like it's that last point that really keeps folks honest, the creators honest. And if they get too focused on trying to get that purchase, they're going to lose out because then the art's going to suffer because it's not going to speak as loudly anymore. And even if they have that one patron who keeps going back to them, I mean, that well could run dry. And if they just focus too much on the dollar part, it's not a good thing. But that kind of opens up a more general conversation of crypto art.
I do have a quick question. All right,
Shoot.
the difference between copywriting and you taking a picture and just basically drawing over it or adding an effect to turn into a GIF. How do you see that turning out?
So the issue of copyright and crypto art and where I see that going in the future.
Yeah.
I think heading forward, again, as long as people, like, if they do start to cite their sources, just to kind of give credit potentially where credit is due. And again, like, people are not just like ripping off an image of someone else's and saying that it's their art, disingenuously. As long as that doesn't happen, I don't see any big issues arising. Because the cool thing about crypto is that one of its key selling points or key just innovations is it's really, really trivially easy to route money to other parties. So if someone feels like they have a claim on a piece of art, or like they feel like their work was the central part of someone else's crypto art that sold for X dollars, there could be an easy arrangement set up where that individual could get a portion of like secondary sales or something like that. And then at the end of the day, if everyone gets paid that feels that they should get paid, like I feel like that'll be okay. And that's the cool part about this. Like, you can route that money so easily, and it's so easy to talk to any of the artists that are actually selling stuff, right? So you can get into contact with them, no problem. Versus like in the past, you see an work of art hanging on someone's wall somewhere, and you're like, who did that? Like, what's their name? Like, it'd be impossible to find them. So, I mean, I don't foresee it being a big problem. It just, I don't know, like, the individual artists themselves, they may have trouble understanding it. And also just like, we're all in crypto, right? Like, I think there's this natural tendency to be like very, number one, protective of our identities, and then feeling like we got into crypto to avoid like those KYC constraints and stuff like that, and copyright issues and things like that. But I mean, parts of those things will obviously have to flow into this as the money flows, and they go into people's like actual bank accounts and stuff anyway. So that's how I see it. Do you have an opinion on it?
I think you touched point on everything.
That's cool. Well, okay. Which leads me into the next question that I have about a really, one of the favorite parts of crypto art, which is collaboration. So I know that you had a recent collaboration with Puffin on your freedom of speech piece, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's a very specific instance. If you can walk me through that piece and the background and the collaboration. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the collaborative aspect of crypto art that just seems to be proliferating. Like, there's a new collaboration all the time, every single day, which is, I just feel like it's beautiful, and it's really, really interesting part of crypto art.
Yeah, as far as collaborations, I think those are super dope, because then you get to see like the work of one artist and another artist from two different backgrounds combined and see what they produce out of that. So I think that's pretty dope. Like with Xcopy, he did a recent collaboration with Cody, and that was amazing. Like, I love Xcopy's, the way his style is, and I adore like Cody's style as well. So that was like a super dope collab. But in the future, I think it's only gonna bring more attention to crypto art, which is great for the space, and it's healthy for the space as well. But for the collaboration with Puffin and I've always noticed that he writes a lot. Like, as his title says, he's a wordsmith. So I fell in love with like the way he uses his word, because in a sense, I'm like somewhat articulate, so I like words in general. So I would read his stuff nonstop. So I just wanted to ask him, because I was working on a piece I've been working on 3 pieces actually. So we have a 3-series collaboration. That was just the first one.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I was trying to keep it on the low. So freedom of speech, how that came about, I wanted to do something that can express without really having, because I'm not good with putting words together in the sense of I'd rather let my art speak for myself. Like if you go back to all my posts, you will see I would keep the sentence short because I never really knew what to say or how to describe it. So I usually let my art speak for itself. But with Puffin, I wanted to collab with him so bad. So I begged him like, can you please at least look at the piece and then let me know if you'll be able to do something with this. And then when he sent me the first draft of it, I'm like, oh my fucking wow, okay, we're doing we're doing this. So after me receiving that, I decided I didn't even have to look it over. Honestly, I didn't even look it over. Like I read it one time and I didn't even have to look it over. Like I didn't second guess it or anything. I'm like, I'm posting this, bro. I'm posting this. He was like, okay, do it. So after we did that, I seen the feedback. Like the feedback I've gotten from Scent is by far outstanding. Like I love you guys like so much. Like you guys are like just so motivational. Like you guys uplift people, you know, even the people who are new, like you guys are welcome. And that's all I wanted to say. So ever since that collaboration with Puffin, I've just been, I'm lying. I had a previous collaboration with Van's Design, and that was with my Blind Eye piece.
That piece was dope as well. Jesus. The orange background, boom, Kill Bill vibes.
I think it was you or Riz, one of you guys commented that, and I'm glad you did because I didn't even see it like that. But thank you for the reassurance. But Van Design is so dope. Oh my goodness, I love everything he did. His minimalistic ways, like his artwork is super dope. So I asked him if he wanted to collab, and I just draw this piece, and he'll just do what he does best. And since that, I always wanted to like collab, but I wanted to change it up, not a traditional collab. I wanted to bring Puffin into it because I saw that Skeeny did something with Puffin as well, but I was already in the process of asking Puffin to do something. So I don't know. I just think that it brings more awareness to different type of artists. You know, it could be poets, it can be traditional artists, it can be any type of art. It'll just bring awareness in that aspect.
Like the white space for potential collaborations is just so vast, man. And like at first it was just artist to artist, and there's some amazing examples of that. But now people are starting to think outside of the box and working with folks that are not typically associated or not active in the visual arts. And I just think like that's the first of many steps in a like totally new direction than people had thought. And because like, again, it's so easy to route like the proceeds or the revenue of a sale to the parties that were involved. I know Known Origin, they actually make it even easier because you can attach multiple addresses to a single piece. It's just it's just going to keep expanding and proliferating in the future. And as someone that appreciates like creations for creation's sake, oh my God, I'm so stoked to see what comes of all these collaborations. Together with collaboration, I mean, on that point, within the space, like who are the artists or who are the creators that inspire you? Like, do you feel like you are inspired by the other creators, or tell me about that?
Okay, as far as the inspiration, yes, I'm totally inspired by many of the artists actually in crypto art. Like Connie's the first, Van Design, Twisted Vacancy. Twisted Vacancy, and like for him being a new artist, he deserves every single pay that he gets. You know, that's just in my honest opinion. His style is so unique, and I did ask him to collaborate, but I don't feel like all artists or artwork would like artwork would reciprocate each other, you know, like different type of styles. Other Miss Al for gender, I believe this is like a gender gap, especially in crypto. But I've seen this; it's starting to close, like especially with Giselle X. I've seen Miss Al. I've seen Josie, who's super sick.
Stina Jones as well.
Stina Jones. Yes. Thank you. But those artists are like the ones who actually push me to want to push my limit. Like I want to push my limit because every time I see them post something new, I'm like, oh, I have to try this. Oh, let me go do some more research on this. Like, I don't want to ask them their process. I just want to learn it on my own. Like that's how it makes me feel. It makes me feel like
it just gives me that fire and within, like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. Like,
I feel that. This is a question I'm asking more people these days, but I mean, you're an artist. People are collecting you. Are you collecting anyone else's work? I know we talked about just inspirations, like where you get the fire to keep pushing yourself creatively, but who are the artists that you're actually collecting? Like, who is in your collection?
As far as if I had enough ETH to collect the artworks I actually wanted to collect, I definitely would. But I started out with like lower art, like artists who aren't as popular. Like we have some in the Hue chat, which is like JB Garrison. I got some of his work. Easy in crypto. I picked up some of his work. I think his style is like, I like his style. His style's pretty dope. Dragon's Need. I hope I'm not butchering. Dab Dragon. That's all I know him by. His stuff is pretty unique as well. So I started like out there, and then I'll try to like save up because I still have like some ETH stash because I have my eye on some pieces, but they get sold out so quickly. So I tend to like shop on Known Origin since they have like multiple editions of their work. So give me enough time to stack some F or stack some Gwei to pick some stuff up.
Nice. And then the last question we can close out on, I know it's so cool to see all the love for Scent. Are there any other creators on Scent that you personally love to see spotlighted?
Other creators, I want to hear one with Puffin, hands down.
Yeah. Nice one. And then before we go, just to make sure that you shout out everything you need to, let folks know where they should find you. Obviously, you're on Scent. Let them know like any other channels you're on. And then let them know like where everyone can buy your work. I know Super Rare is the biggest place that I look for your work, but let folks know if you're on any of the other platforms too.
Of course. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Jaleel Dowdy, JAHLEELDOWDY. I'm my artwork and on Scent because I use Scent more than Twitter. So Scent, betacent.co/Dowdy. My work, you can find it on Known Origin, Super Rare. You can either type in Dowdy or you can type in Jaleel. It'll come up either or. And I think that's pretty much it. I don't really post a lot of different places. I have a Maker's Place set up, but I haven't published any work there as of yet.
Cool. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, Dowdy. As a collector, like it was definitely an honor and a privilege. And I'm really looking forward to the rest of your creative journey, and seeing what you're able to create for all of us. So keep on creating, and thanks again for talking.
Thank you, Matthew.